Hey, what's going on? Ryan here with Intersection Records, and Monday with Miles Davis. We are reviewing our third album already, which we'll review a new album every week. These are all going to be albums that are going to be on Spotify and or Apple Music. This is Seven Steps to Heaven, and it's a really good record, as all these records are. Some people call this a transitional record because Miles is kind of in between bands at this point. So Miles has his first great quintet with Paul Chambers and Wynton Kelly and Jimmy Cobb and John Coltrane. You know, at points, Bill Evans is on piano. At points, Philly Joe Jones is on drums. But it's a stable lineup, really, from 55 through 1960. When Coltrane leaves the band in April of '60. Coltrane comes back for sessions on Someday My Prince Will Come. Hank Mobley's also on that record. Hank Mobley plays with him at Carnegie Hall. He plays with him, on the Black Hawk shows, the Friday night and Saturday night Black Hawk shows. But really, Mobley's gone by April of '60. He goes on and does his thing. His own band. Miles is having hip issues. He's having some pain. He's missing some time. And really by early 1962, Paul Chambers, who's been there since the beginning on bass, since 55 on bass, Wynton Kelly and Jimmy Cobb, they leave finally. And in early '63 and formed their own trio. And now he's got his rhythm section gone. Seven Steps to Heaven, he's got a couple different bands, and we're going to talk about that. Quiet Nights, those sessions take place in 1962. Miles is unhappy with the Quiet Nights sessions. That's finishing up there with Jimmy Cobb and Paul Chambers. Those are recorded from July 27th to November of '62. Those sessions are abandoned. By November of '62, he's abandoned those sessions that he's done on that record. And in early '63, he ultimately gets together in Los Angeles. In April of '63, he gets together with Ron Carter on bass. So this is starting that relationship with Carter. George Coleman has effectively replaced Hank Mobley on saxophone, on tenor sax. Victor Feldman, London-born Victor Feldman, who worked with Jean-Luc Ponty and Zappa on the King Kong album, who worked on 5 different Steely Dan records, ultimately. He does the percussion that makes it Latin on Do It Again. Think about that. He's a multi-instrumentalist. Victor Feldman can play piano, which he does on this record. He can play vibraphone. He can do a lot of things. He can play percussion. And then that band is rounded out on drums with Frank Butler. Frank Butler, is relatively obscure drummer. This is the only record that he plays with Miles on. Maybe there's some compilations that he's on. But he's a good, solid drummer. George Coleman is from Memphis. It's a nice lineup with Feldman. So this song, there's 5 tracks on this album. I take that back. There's 6 tracks on the album. So all the odd number songs are with the Feldman, Butler, Coleman, Ron Carter, Miles Davis lineup. And the even numbers are another session that took place the next month when Miles got back from LA and went to New York. Finally wrestles away Tony Williams from the Jackie McLean Band, and he's got the drummer that he wants. Insert Herbie Hancock, who's coming off his 1962 debut album, Taking Off, which has Watermelon Man on it. Ron Carter comes over from LA. He's on bass. So we now have that Ron Carter, Hancock, Williams rhythm section. George Coleman comes over also, and you have the quintet there for the first time. So let's go through this record. Basin Street Blues, recorded in Hollywood, This is a Spencer Williams song. Coleman is not on the opening track, so it's just a quartet there with Feldman, Butler, Carter, and Miles. Miles has got the mute in. It's nice. It's got a sparseness and elegance, a laid back swing thing to it. Love Victor Feldman just dancing around the keys. Feldman adds some elegance, I think. He's a very nice player. He's no Herbie Hancock, but he has his nice style here on the opening song, Basin Street Blues. Again, no Coleman sitting out. The next song is Seven Steps to Heaven, which is composed by Victor Feldman and Miles Davis. And it's funny because on this record, there's 2 Victor Feldman compositions, and Victor Feldman doesn't play on either one of them. So again, Seven Steps to Heaven, the song's written by Miles and Feldman, and enter the Hancock, Williams, Ron Carter, Coleman. Immediately you hear that ride cymbal by Williams. You hear Herbie's elegant playing. Ron's is blazing underneath on bass. And then Miles and Coleman dancing on top. I mean, it's what you want. It's a strong composition. At the 3:32 mark, Williams does a drum solo for almost 30 seconds, about 25 seconds. It's really cool. And it's just understated. But he's showing you, hey, I'm Tony Williams. I'm 17 years old. I'm the new kid in town, and you better watch out. By the way, Herbie's only 23 here. The next song is I Fall in Love Too Easily, which is kind of a jazz standard written by Jewel Stein and Sammy Kahn. It's a wonderful song that's been done by many, many people. It's tender. It's expressive. It's romantic. It's brilliant. It's not, these songs are all pretty long. The first song's 10.5 minutes. Second song, Seven Steps to Heaven, 6.5. And again, 6:46 here with I Fall in Love Too Easily. Again, this is a laid back record. People kind of criticize this as a transition because we don't have a set band really. We have 2 bands here. I think this is strong if you like Miles Davis. It's a good entry level Miles if you're looking for something just to throw on and chill to. Flip the album over. So Near, So Far is the next song, a Benny Green and Tony Crombie song. Again, a 7-minute song. More upbeat, cool, swinging, bouncing. Just lots of dancing underneath the rhythms again by Miles here. Again, we have Williams, Carter, and Hancock kind of giving you this Afro-Cuban beat here. Textures, dynamics, tempo changes. Certainly doesn't sound like a brand new band to me. It sounds like a band that is not in transition and really is set to dominate this next decade. The fifth song, again, is just a quartet. This is, again, the LA sessions with Feldman and Butler, but Coleman sits out on this song, too. More muted trumpet by Miles on the song Baby, Won't You Please Come Home. Just, again, the refinement of Feldman's piano playing. It's amazing that Feldman worked with Miles, and then to see what Victor Feldman would go do on, Can't Buy a Thrill, and working with Frank Zappa, and working with Joni Mitchell, and working really with everybody. If you look at the guy's discography, it's insane. Worked with Ronnie Scott, the quartet, the Ronnie Scott Orchestra in the early 50s before he immigrated to the United States in 54 and 55. Baby, Won't You Please Come Home. It's really nice, but probably my favorite song in this record, it's the last track, is Joshua. Joshua is fully composed by Victor Feldman, but again, so all these songs were done in LA. Miles didn't like the songs. The songs that ended up getting re-recorded in New York were re-recorded because Miles didn't like the finished products on the LA. I guess I should have said that to begin with. So Miles is unhappy after coming back from LA for the month of April, comes back in May to New York and recuts Joshua, recuts Seven Steps to Heaven, and recuts So Near, So Far. So it wasn't like they needed more material. He was unhappy finishes these products here with the rest of these 3 songs and finishes a song called Summer Nights, which gets glued onto the unfinished Quiet Nights sessions that he abandoned in 1962. And we'll get into that record later, but there's more recordings that are done that day on the May 14th, 63 session in New York. Joshua is my favorite song on this record. Again, it's a Victor Feldman song. It would remain in the live repertoire for the rest of the decade. Again, right away you get that writing symbol by Williams, which is his signature, in my opinion. Miles is reaching for the sky on some of the notes, and he's got this band behind him, and you can tell him it's giving him confidence to hit those notes and go for things. Miles will go for things, even if he hits the wrong note. It's not gonna deter him from just going for it. He's just an amazing musician. You can hear a little bit of So Wet and All Blues in the composition. I don't know. I don't hear it as much as some people say that it's a take on those songs. Well, for me, it's the best track on the album. Hancock's piano playing is fantastic. This is a really good record. We are going to pick our next record for next week out of the trusty fountain here. I got one. What do we got here? We are going to review next Monday, Miles and Monk at Newport, 1963, recorded on May 1st and July 2nd of 1958. So Miles and Monk in Newport, it's actually, one side is Miles Davis's band with John Coltrane and Bill Evans. The other side of the record is Monk's band, Thelonious Monk. So they do not play together on the record, so I hope that's not a spoiler. The album ends up getting released in 63. Really, I think it actually is the follow-up to this. It's a live album, but maybe Quiet Nights comes after this, but in 63 also puts out this album. Anyway, Miles and Monk at Newport. We will talk about that next Monday on Monday with Miles Davis. Peace out. See ya.